Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Link Podcast, the industry's link to learn, innovate news and knowledge in global supply chain intelligence, hosted by food logistics and supply and demand chain executive. We cover everything from transportation and warehousing trends and new technologies to food safety, anything impacting today's supply chains. As always, I'm Brielle Jaekel, the associate editor of Food Logistics and SDCE, and we are continuing our diversity, inclusion, and equality month with the great discussion on the growth of women in the logistics industry. I speak with Aaron Hageman, who is the owner and CEO of Delivery Drivers, Inc., about a report that showed this big jump, but also how they found the majority of jobs lost during the pandemic were actually female jobs. But more good than bad is happening today as trucking evolves to become a really safe and equal industry of employment for women. So let's link into that conversation now. Hi, everyone. I'm here with Aaron Hageman, who's the owner and CEO of DDI. Hi, Aaron. Thank you for coming on the show.
Hi, good morning, Brielle. Thanks for having me.
Did I say your name right?
You got it perfect.
All right, great. So today this is a part of our diversity, inclusion, and equality month for the Link podcast. So last week we had an episode on diversity. Now I kind of want to focus on equality and female empowerment in the industry. And I know that DDI has a lot of information about women drivers in trucking. So I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about that and some of the stuff you found. The first I know.
Yeah. Excited to go through it.
Yeah. So first I saw that there was a surge of female drivers that your organization found that there was a surge in female drivers in the last few years. Do you know why that is?
Yeah, we did a survey just to kind of give the background and hear about 5 years ago. And we found that at the time from our survey, about 30% of the drivers, and we participate in all kinds of things, delivery, grocery delivery, food delivery, Amazon delivery, you name it. And about 30% of our drivers were female 5 years ago. Now, in the last survey that we did a couple ago, 52% of the population surveyed was female. And it's a huge increase, almost double, but over half of the delivery drivers out there. And we looked into it. There's a couple of things that came out when we started looking at the statistics of why is there more women in delivery driving today in 2021. And one thing is, if we look at COVID in the last year, there's some really interesting data. And Brielle, I don't have the answers, but there's some interesting stats that in December, for example, that all of the jobs that were lost were net from women. So 140,000 jobs were lost in our economy, but, men stayed the same, but women lost 140,000 jobs. Why is, the pandemic inversely impacting women's employment status more than others? I'm not sure. But as such, I really think that the delivery driving community and jobs are out there everywhere. They're pretty exciting to anybody who wants to, come work and things like that. And so I think there's a lot of women available in the workforce, and delivery driving is busier than ever. So Really, I think we've seen the shift in that way.
So has this been specifically since COVID, you've seen an increase in female drivers, or pre-COVID as well?
Definitely pre-COVID, but I do believe from, some of the things I was just offering there that in the last 6 months, I think it's 63% of our new drivers are women. So we're starting to see a bigger increase in here. That's almost 2 out of 3 at that point. And so we're starting to definitely see that in the last year, it's accelerated the issue. COVID's done that in our delivery world for a lot of things. We're busier, we're seeing more women, but on the whole, it's just the way it seems to be going.
Have you seen anything else related or COVID related in regards to female drivers?
Yeah, I think safety, a big topic, right? It's a big concern for all drivers, men and women, of course. But with safety being a front line topic that we all talk about, whether it's government issues and how we're doing background checks and making sure the drivers are, themselves more scrutinized and secure, and, this whole world down to COVID safety as well, and individual safety. So with safety being a big topic, I think it makes a lot of people feel more accepted into the delivery world and, willing to take some shots into that.
Right. It's interesting you say that because we did a Link Live episode a few months ago with women in trucking. And I was interested because there's something that I had never thought about in regards to women drivers or females in the industry is the training aspect of it. So you go for overnight drives and things like that, and the sleeping arrangements are kind of something that you have to think about. What have you seen with that? Has there been a big shift in that versus for safety reasons and for personal reasons?
Yeah, absolutely. Discrimination reasons, comfort reasons, just to make it a good recruiting environment, to make people feel comfortable coming into, these environments. I think in long haul trucking, what you're talking about is definitely something that, we obviously see and we're concerned about. I think why we're seeing more women, though, comes with just the overall shift. Not only are there more women drivers, but there are more women in leadership roles within the delivery and trucking worlds. Now, we need to do better, of course, and continue to promote diversity. But I think things like having open conversations like this and actively promoting diversity within our recruiting efforts, when we look at companies like ours, DDI, and other, our clients that are out there doing the deliveries themselves, making sure that there are women trainers out there that other drivers can go with. And as we see a larger and larger percentage of drivers already being female, it makes these scenarios a little easier to facilitate.
Are you seeing more female drivers in last mile delivery or long hauls?
We at DDI really participate a lot in the last mile delivery. We do some of the long haul stuff. And really, I think, especially the data from our survey, that's in a lot of the delivery world, grocery delivery, food delivery, package. And really, that's kind of everything these days, as a lot of retail shifts to figuring out how to, get things delivered to everybody.
Right. Yeah. I've even myself, when you would order Grubhub or Instacart, things like that, in the past, it was primarily men delivery drivers, but I'm seeing so many more women and even women I know, doing Instacart to try and get more money during the pandemic. So
absolutely. I think 8, 10 years ago, when we saw rideshare come around, there was a general, fear, for lack of a better word, of women being drivers. Can I be a driver? I don't know if I feel safe doing that. Right. And while that is not completely gone, I think that again, acceptance and just the generalities of, people saying, well, this is an okay thing and it's not that scary. And the stats are what they are. It's really moved the needle this way.
Right. So what are companies doing to be sure that there is a clear equal opportunity for women in logistics? What are they doing to make drivers feel safe specifically?
Well, again, I think one of the first things, not to repeat the point too much, but for us at DDI, a large initiative is around female leaders. We're proud that 59% of the employees at DDI are female now. And, when we're recruiting new drivers and things like that, it really, really helps. So females within the delivery world and females in promoting more and, actively seeking out diverse leadership teams, balanced out with male, females, and all aspects of diversity is one big initiative for not only my company, but a lot of businesses out there. Secondarily, for us, having open conversations. It's been a big initiative in the last, couple of years at DDI, but, and I'm glad to be able to do podcasts and media scenarios like this, Brielle, but just even having the conversation, one of our favorites at DDI that we love to do is just have the debate or the open conversation on what is diversity. And, having conversations around diversity and how to promote more female leadership and things like that for mentoring programs and things like that is a significant aspect on our side. And last but not least, there's a lot of businesses in this space that I'm starting to see that are by women for women. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm an entrepreneur involved with DDI and lots of businesses, candidly, and finding ways to promote more acceptance and support and funding, as it were, into programs for female entrepreneurialism is, I think, really significant, because I've seen a lot of programs that have had a lot of success that are like rideshare programs by women for women. So now that you're a female driver, you can have only female customers and vice versa. And there's a lot of really cool, kind of programs coming around like that. So initiatives like these, big and small, are really excited to see. And I hope to see more of them, quite candidly.
This is something I think about sometimes. I'm curious about how the companies ensure the culture is accepting of more female drivers. How are you sure, humans are humans, and you can't control everyone, and you can't, control everyone's personality. So how are companies sure to be sure that the female drivers are included in the community?
Well, I think that's great. It's a good question. And one of my first thoughts, especially in delivery and last mile, is so much of what we do is based on technology. And when we kind of think about how the opportunities in a 1099 space plus technology really are letting women, it's because when you're 1099, you can make your own choices about where and how and when you want to work that is best for you, coupled with technology that I hope fundamentally doesn't discriminate, when we're dispatching orders through algorithms and things like that. So there's a lot of opportunity, I really feel, in the delivery world, in the last mile, for women to make their own space, just like anybody for that matter, without some of the, well, maybe historically, discriminating factors around.
Right.
From people to, different rules around, prohibiting when you can work and things like that.
What more do you think can be done in the future going forward outside of the pandemic?
Well, that is a great question. Honestly, I think one for us is really leaning on more data. It's an interesting answer, but it's something I thought about coming into this. At least I think it's an interesting answer because it's kind of weird, but we've had so many great conversations around just surveying the drivers and getting the data out there and starting this conversation. So I really look forward to going back to the population of women drivers in our network and getting more data from them. What would they like to see, and asking them. So for us, continued surveying because we have access to tens of thousands of drivers across the country in all different worlds. And so continuing the conversation for us is a big initiative in 2021 at DDI, and, really leaning on that data. What more can we do? We haven't done the earnings data on here, and I'm really excited to see what we learn, good, bad, or otherwise, but amongst our population, and saying, okay, male drivers, female drivers, let's talk about your earnings and things like that. So I think putting a sunlight on any matter, good or bad, can only help. So to me, that's really what this is all about. Let's just keep talking and let's keep looking.
Right. So you don't have any data right now on the wage gap, or if there is a wage gap?
Well, not necessarily on our side from DDI, not anything specific that I brought today that I can speak of in the delivery world, because we hope to see, and we don't really deal with, and have never had in 25 years of business, had to deal with any sort of wage discrimination matters or any of these matters brought up. But I'm really looking forward to looking at that issue next. We've looked at the sample of the population.
Right.
Okay, new drivers, who's drivers, how many drivers are married, not married, things like that, men versus women. But now we look forward to getting into the economics, sort of tax season at DDI, so it's on our mind, and things like that.
Yeah, I'd be really interested to see if there is a wage gap, or what the wage gap would be for specific to trucking.
Yeah, well, definitely I'll make sure that the team shares the reports when we're back with you in the podcast when we're done.
I know you've talked about having more leadership, women in leadership and things like that, but what specifically in terms of the actual job itself, what is the industry doing to make it seem more attractive to female drivers?
To being a driver, you're talking about,
right.
Not necessarily in leadership within the companies and executives and things
right.
like that. Well, like I said, first, I think you actually got onto one of the first topics, which is a good onboarding experience. And you alluded to training and making sure people feel comfortable. So having open conversations, making sure that we have early, training initiatives and onboarding initiatives around safety, around diversity and inclusion, and these types of things, again, really bring it into, help a female driver feel comfortable onboarding. So is a big, big part of getting into this experience as being a driver. So once you get in, you can start making money, but there's a lot of turnover getting early into the game. So making sure, like you said, there's other female trainers around and scenarios like that. And that's a big first step for us. is onboarding education.
Well, I think that's all the questions I have for today, but I'm very excited to be able to get to talk about this issue because it's something I'm really interested in, and it's a really exciting time, I think.
Well, thanks again for having me on, and I look forward to getting the next round of data, and we'll share it with you soon.
Thank you, everyone, for listening to today's episode. It was really awesome hearing from Aaron and all the statistics about the trucking industry. Check out new episodes of Link every week right here on our YouTube channel. Next week, we further our Diversity, Inclusion, and Equality Month with an episode focused on disability in the supply chain. If you like what you see, make sure you hit that thumbs up button and hit subscribe so you never miss an episode.